Okay, so it's five past. I'll go ahead and get started with some of the uh, introductions and overview of how we'll run today's webinar. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for making time to be here. I'm so happy to see so many friendly and familiar faces. I want to give a huge thanks at the beginning to our principals who, despite everything going on, volunteered to be on our first principal webinar panel today. And so thank you very much. I hope you all will get a lot out of today's webinar, that you'll gain some practical knowledge that could also be handy in the future days, weeks, and months ahead. If you registered today, then you will get information about future principal webinars. And if you didn't register and you want to make sure to get that information, just make sure you put your contact info in the chat, and we'll make sure you get it. We'll also be recording this, so if you had a last minute meeting that came up and you weren't able to be here today, then you'll be able to see what we covered. This is what we'll cover today. I'm going to start with the introductions. Some of you know Julius as the creator of Skies. We were trying to find a picture of us together. This is from a long time ago when we were back at Caltech, but there we are together in grad school, back when we took haircuts for granted. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Julius's presentation, which is going to set the stage for what we'll be discussing with the panelists. One of our, I'll go through the panelists. We have Principal Mario Garcielita from 20th Street Elementary School. We also have Principal Elizabeth Arellano from Quincy Jones Elementary. We have Principal Rene de Leon from Hoover Street Elementary. I see some fans of yours in the audience there. And also Principal Lori Gambero from Ramon Cortines Grand Arts High School of Visual and Performing Arts. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Julius, who will begin with a brief presentation, and then we'll turn it over to our panel. And Julius, please.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see everyone today. I think most of you guys already know us, but in case you don't, we're Skies Learn. We make lesson making software for teachers that's easy to use and also LAUSD approved. So our involvement in one slide is that there's about 1,000 teachers using Skies every week now, and about 20,000 students. We're at 115 schools. 98% of them are within Los Angeles. So we're a very local company. We really serve the community in here. And about 1/3 of the local district central schools, I know many of you are from LD Central, about 1/3 of LD Central schools are using Skies this year. We also are involved a lot with teacher training because teachers want to know how to use Skies to its fullest. And so since COVID, we've actually done 2,800 individual one-on-one teacher trainings. Not me and James individually, we have a team. But LAUSD teachers, other people working with us, we've trained a lot of teachers. And so we've gotten some insights through working with all of these different teachers in the schools that you guys represent. I also want to mention, James has been talking to a lot of principals, and when COVID started, he was on the phone continuously. He talked to 74 principals in 2 weeks, including many of you here. So this is how we've tried to get some insight onto the situation as it evolves. So today is a panel discussion and a brief presentation. We're really trying to predict the future. I know we're all, enmeshed in this idea of what's going to happen next month, let alone next year. But it's good to think a little bit about next year as well. What the tech situation is going to look like once all the craziness is over. I think in the past, through looking at data, and through talking with many principals and many teachers, we've been able to predict a few things before they happened, which turned out to be useful to people. I think 2 days before schools closed, we sent a mass email out to all our teachers saying, it looks like there's a lot of cases happening right now. We think schools are going to close down. You should download this program called Zoom. We've heard it's very good. And then it turned out to be good. I think the first 2 weeks, people were saying we were going to be shut down until spring break or after spring break, or maybe until, April or something. And we were saying, no, you guys are going to be here for a while, prepare for a while. We're going to be shut down until we get vaccines. I think we were telling everyone to prepare for a transition to synchronous learning, because everyone was making these really good asynchronous skies lessons, but we were telling them, make sure you're ready for synchronous. And I think a lot of people were preparing for synchronous. And finally, when the vaccines first came out, we started to tell people testing's going to happen. Like the cases are going to go down and there's going to be testing. So, we tried to get some test prep resources and things like that together for people. So we tried to be a little bit ahead. But of course, we have no idea what's actually going to happen next year. But this is our best effort at predicting. So today, the questions we're focusing on is how many teachers are going to be using tech regularly next year after COVID? And more importantly, how are they going to be using tech? Like, what are they going to be using it for? So we've done surveys and we've talked to people and things like that. So just to review, I know it seems like a lifetime ago, but in our experience working with all the schools in this community, not too long ago, just a year ago, this is what the sort of state of technology was, we felt, in many of the schools we visited. First, this here is a portable printer. And James had a portable printer. Our teacher helpers had a portable printer. And the reason we had a portable printer was simple. In a lot of cases, when we went to a school, students could not log in. They did not have access to their MyMail account. They hadn't gone through the whole activation procedure. They didn't have those little index cards with their passwords typed on it, but they wanted to get into Skies. And so we had a system of, typing in their account information right then and there, making accounts for them, and then printing out their account information for them using a portable printer, and then giving them a binder so they could log in. Thankfully, we don't have to do this anymore, right? Everyone's got Schoology, everyone knows how to log in. But I think you guys still remember a time when most students did not know their MyMail, and most students could not log in. And we had to go through extraordinary efforts just to get people into devices. That was just last year. I think this also looks familiar to most of you. There's the whole like, oh, why aren't you guys using Skies? Well, I only get the cart once a week. Or the cart's over there, not in my room. It's over in some other teacher's room. There's the idea of a 4th grade cart or a 5th grade cart, or the cart for the 3rd floor. The idea that you get a device once every week, not once every day. I think there was a situation where this was at the local school, Aldama, and we noticed that none of the teachers who occupied these portable classrooms to the lower left-hand corner of the screen ever used Skies. And so we drove over. You can see 18-minute drive. We drove over. We're like, hey, what's going on? Why aren't these teachers using Skies? And they were like, do you notice something about the slope on this? We're like, what slope? And they're like, we're on a hill. These portable classrooms are on the bottom of a hill. If we drag the car all the way down the hill, we're going to have to drag it all the way back up to return it. And we're not going to do that. It's too heavy. There's a lot of iPads in those carts. And it's like, well, what about your carts? Oh, the cables don't work for that. That's been broken for a long time. Which is how on the Friday afternoon, James found himself underneath a cart, like unplugging all the wires and trying to get all the wires plugged back in so they had a working cart for those portable classrooms. I want to point out this was not too long ago. Okay, the tech situation was a bit wobbly, right? Students couldn't log in and access to devices was limited. I think as a result, we found no matter what schools we went to, there was sort of a limit as to how many teachers would actually be using Skies every week. This limit was about 10 teachers, or about 25% of most schools, 1 in 4 teachers. So you can see this is like a bunch of different schools that we were at. I think, San Pasquale, Estrella, there were some schools that were exceptional because we had more involvement or whatever, but we had like maybe 8 teachers using it. But most of the schools had like 4 or 5, 6 teachers using it, like every week. And it was capped at around, most schools 1 in 4 teachers would be using skies on a regular basis. Okay. Furthermore, what they were using technology for was very specific. And we figured out, we started to categorize all the teachers into 3 stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Most teachers were at stage 1, and this was computer lab use of technology. So the main reason for using technology would be to do supplemental instruction, things like ST Math, things like Lexia. They go to a shared room, and most of the time they didn't know how to log in. So a lot of time we spent logging, and they'd get a little bit of ST Math done, a little bit of Lexia done, and that would be it. That would be their tech use for that year. A few brave teachers dragged the card over to the room, and maybe once a week, they would have the students do a special kind of media project, make a Google presentation, record a video, do something kind of special, like enriching. But again, this was it took so long to get the cart over, and it took so long to get everyone logged in. It was only worthwhile to do it for a big project. Like, okay, you know, parent night's coming up. We got an open house. We got to do something with tech. Let's get everyone together and, like, you know, get everyone logged into it. But it's certainly not something you could do very regularly, because just getting the devices and just getting the logins took so long to do. And then stage 3, of course, is like the ideal, the platonic ideal of instruction, where you're using it for math, you're using it for reading, you're using it for writing, you're using it for bread and butter, everyday instruction. You've got the devices in the classroom, and just logging in, getting in is just part of the daily routine. Everyone does it, so it takes no time at all. It's just like sitting down in your seat. And last year, if we had to guess, on an average school, this is what we would see. 3/4 of the teachers would only send their kids to the computer lab. That was it. That was their tech use. Maybe 1 out of 5 would drag carts in to do special projects. And maybe 5% of the teachers, that's like 1, 2, or 3 teachers would be regularly using, you know, something on a daily basis. This is sort of our pattern that we've noticed last year. Then things have changed because of COVID, and the fact that everyone has a device, and that every teacher now has like a year and something of tech experience. For one, every teacher in LAUSD is now at stage 3 100% of the time, using tech for regular instruction all day. Every student is logging in every day. Well, maybe not every day, but, you know, we're trying. The schools that were previously at 10 teachers are now ranging from, you know, 10 to 30 teachers. I think I'll show the Panelists later, their schools, but you can see that, like, a lot more teachers are using skies at these schools. And, you know, some schools are now at 50% usage, 75% usage, even a couple at 100%. All their teachers are using skies every day, every week. So usage has gone way, way, way up. No surprise, right? If we look at their Panelists, Quincy Jones, 14 out of 14 teachers are using skies. 20th Street, 21 out of 28, 75%. Hoover, 28 out of 31. These are approximate, you know, it could be 100%, but, you know, this is like, we might have forgotten the spring break or something. Grand Arts, 17 out of 62, but it's 17. It's a big high school. So 17 teachers is a pretty big cohort for us at any school. So usage is really high right now. And, you know, we like that, but we're always wondering what's going to happen next year. We sort of imagine 2 possibilities. The first is one piece of technology called a mask. Like, how many people are going to be wearing masks next year when the pandemic is over, right? It's a piece of technology used because you have to. It's required, it's mandatory, but once the need is done, you don't use it anymore. Like, why bother? But there's another possibility. Like, just walking around, we have a new baby, we walk around, try to do it safely now. But we see a lot of people, a lot more people than we used to. We see a lot of people just walking around, you know, going jogging, going for walks, riding their bikes, just being outdoors because all the gyms have closed, all the restaurants have closed, and, you know, people just want to be outside, out of their house. And we always wonder, like, after COVID is over, are people still going to be walking around? Are they still going to be riding their bikes, still going to the park, going for jogs? Like, it's healthy, it's good. You know, maybe people have discovered that this is a good thing to do, and they're going to continue doing it next year. Like, we hope so. It'll probably be good for everyone. So we were very curious about what category teachers sort of saw themselves in. And so we just did a survey. We surveyed all of the 987 teachers actively using Skies. About 40% got back to us. And so these were the results. First question, will you continue to use Skies next year? Do you see a need? Second question, how often are you going to be using it? And third question, for what? Is it like a stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 kind of application? We were very curious. So the first response was that 98% of teachers said they were going to continue using the software next year. So maybe we're more like the bicycle than the mask, we hope. I want to have a caveat here. I don't trust that number, okay? 98% is very high. I think there's a serious bias here where if they're not going to use Skies next year, they're not going to like fill out our survey. They're probably going to be, oh, I don't want to like spoil that guy's day, you know? So take it with a grain of salt. But everyone who answered the survey, with the exception of 5 teachers, said they were going to continue using it. The second data point, how often? 60% said they would use it every day now, which is incredible. Teachers would not be using technology every day last year. It was just inconceivable that they would see the need for that. Another 30% said 3 to 4 times a week, which is a lot. That's a lot for last year. So now 28 plus 60, we're at 88, 90% of teachers saying they would use it at least 3 times a week. That's a lot of tech use. 11 teachers said, okay, maybe once or twice a week. I'm guessing these are the special projects kind of teachers, the enrichment, the Google Slides kind of teachers. And only 1% said they would use it maybe once every 2 weeks. So we're seeing at least indications of a lot of tech use next year among the ones who answered the survey. What's even more interesting is what they said they would want to be using tech for. We offered a ton of possibilities, from all the projects to all the group work to this to that, everything we could imagine. We offered 35 different possibilities, and these were the top ones that they wanted to use it for. The first, of course, was saving paper. Like, it's funny, whenever we introduce Skies at the school, like when we first started doing, we're like, oh, build 21st century skills, do collaboration, do assessment, do this, do that. And the number one thing teachers said, like, yeah, I just really want to have to not go to the copier all the time. That's the main reason I use the software. So we weren't too surprised to see this. Most teachers want to save paper. But then the next few things, fast grading and feedback, differentiation, chunking curriculum into small units, small group instruction. These 4 things are core instruction. They're regular instruction. This is aligned with LAUSD's like teaching and learning framework. These are all the things we want teachers to be doing on a regular basis. And these are exactly the sort of things they see tech as being useful for. So we have some confidence that they're going to be using it for regular instruction next year. And then there's some stuff about 6 students and YouTube, which is also very interesting. So this is our prediction. Our prediction is that a majority, over 50%, are going to be using tech at least twice a week next year, and that they're going to be using it for regular instruction, not just projects, not just special things, but regular, everyday reading, writing, math instruction. And it would be nice to plan around this sort of idea of a lot of tech use next year. Our other prediction, which was kind of a surprising thing, was how popular the option about supporting 6 students at a distance was. I don't know about you guys, but last year when James and I were out visiting schools on a regular basis, I got a pretty bad cold every 2 months. And when I get a cold, I'm out of commission for 10 days. And it seems like a lot of the teachers were sick all the time. And a lot of the students were sick all the time because everyone was always spreading colds and things like that around. I have a prediction that like next year, people are going to be a little bit more, I kind of enjoyed not getting sick at all this year. That was kind of a nice like silver lining on like a pretty bad year. I have a feeling that there might be ways teachers and schools might accommodate 6 students next year using technology that would make it less likely for everyone to be sick all the time, yet keep attendance high. That's the only other weird thing that came out of the survey that I thought was really interesting, that 6 students could be accommodated with technology. And as always, and this is a good segue to the panelists, the best way to predict the future is to create it, because we're not passive in this. We're actually driving a lot of what happens in the future. The next thing I'm going to do, I want to show some examples from each school represented on the panel of lessons. And I'm just going to go ahead and play what teachers have said they've been using technology for. So the first is a kinder teacher from Hoover Elementary, Miss Arsenian.
As a kindergarten teacher, asynchronous time revolved around ST Math, Lexia, but having the children only go through Clever to get to those items. Skies Learning has allowed for me to organize an entire asynchronous day for them. We can practice the sound or letter of the week. I can have the students practice some math, but I can also have children interact with me by making videos, audios, taking pictures of their work. Skies Learning also allows for my parents to translate directions into their native language. I'm able to make it where the child can click on the icon in the middle and it will send them directly to the platform I want them to work on. It has opened us up to using Boom Cards and Google Classroom. In conjunction with Skies, it allows for me to put student work up and recognize students for achievement. We have like the 100% club for sight words. I show off children who complete all of their GG or Lexia work for the week or all their Skies work for the week. Children get their pictures up on it. So it's like being in our classroom. They're rewarded with seeing themselves.
Okay, so that was Miss Arsenian from Hoover Elementary. I'm also now going to show a 2nd grade teacher, Miss Bahina from 20th Street Elementary.
Hello, my name is Maria Bahena. I'm a 2nd grade teacher. I have been using Skies since we began with the distance learning and teaching. I'm not very tech savvy, so Skies has been really useful in these challenging times. Skies has so many advantages, it is difficult to pinpoint a specific one. But what I love about Skies is that I can organize my lessons and subjects however I see fit. In Skies, I can upload just about anything from practice sheets, visuals, text, videos, audio, books, in order to make student learning more comprehensible. Also, I can differentiate by giving students different options on how to respond to a specific assignment, whether it be in writing, with pictures, or orally, or simply giving different assignments to different students depending on their needs. I'm thankful I have Skies as a teaching and learning platform at my school.
Google Duo Video.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'm going to show a teacher, a 4th grade teacher from Quincy Jones Elementary, Miss Dickinson.
So Skies has been really helpful in every way this year because it's the main platform that I use for all of our learning. So even if I use other websites, I keep everything in Skies. And so all of the links are in Skies, everything the students need is in Skies, and our daily schedule reflects how our day moves in Skies. It's been really, really great for grading because I can give immediate and actionable feedback to students as they're working independently in their asynchronous work. And I can also take those grades and immediately and easily put them into Schoology. So it's been just really helpful for the kids. They also have so many different ways that they can submit their work. You know, they can submit videos, photos. You know, it's really flexible in terms of, you know, how I want to present a lesson. So I submitted 2 lessons. One of them is just kind of an example of how I use my schedule and how I use sort of a homepage for students where I put announcements, and I also put an assignment checklist. So I use a hyperlinked checklist where students can refer to it throughout the week, and they can go in if they miss an assignment. They just have to go in and it'll take them straight to the SKYS lesson where they can find the green card, and the green cards represent, assignments that are graded. And then I also presented a social studies lesson just because it kind of shows how SKYS gives you the opportunity to replicate an in-person lesson as closely as possible, right? So we have kind of a discussion warm-up question, we have our objective, and then we're able to kind of do some learning, right? Do some reading, and then practice our note-taking skills. And so, yeah, it just kind of gives an example of how SKYS really makes online learning as close to in-person learning as possible.
Okay. And finally, last, we'll have Miss Ink from Grand Arts Cortines High School.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Melinda.
Oh, sorry.
I teach Spanish at Ramon Cortines. Actually, I do like all the lessons that I have created so far from SKYS, and just randomly choosing my Semana 9, which is week 9, I teach Spanish. I really love the platform because it will allow me to test the students orally and also have them practice speaking and easily to add audio and record and video record as well. So some stuff that I can add is like, for example, in my week 9, when checking for their emotions, for social emotional, I give them like a picture and they can use the annotation to circle, and warm up. I can cut and paste the link from any Google slide that I have created, and I can also create a very short assessment using the matching and the close activities or the multiple choice, and right there to test for their understanding. I can also add other links that I'm interested of having the student practice more Spanish, and have them like easily use their screenshot or the camera to show me proof that they have completed a certain assignment. And the latest chunking is also very cool. I have not used it for this week, but it is things that I like from the platform is that every month there's something new added to improve, so that the teacher can easily navigate and use all the features, and the students easily can understand and complete their assignment.
Okay, thank you. And so that's everything from my end, presentation and examples of the lessons from the teachers of the Panelists. Thank you, James.